Welcome back, part 2, class 2. All right. Reminder, this is entertainment purposes only, just because I don't want TikTok to shut me down. So belief, as these particles that exist in the world, they live in what we would call our subconscious mind. Now remember, the mind can exist here. It doesn't always exist there. It can exist in our gut. It doesn't always exist in our gut. It can exist outside of us. It doesn't always exist outside of us. But our mind is a world in which we truly live and thrive sometimes. So belief is a part that lives in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is a tool that operates below our conscious awareness. Conscious awareness is the things that we think about. Now, if you really want to think in terms of brain development, our conscious mind really is this prefrontal cortex is our thinking self, and then there's a doing self that lives kind of in the back of our brain. So if you really want to have a visual about where the subconscious lives, just for the sake of this, you think this is our thinking self, this is our doing self. So our subconscious mind kind of lives in the back of our head. You can also think of it as maybe angels sitting on one side and the other, right? You can think of it like that. We can think of it in a lot of different ways. Conscious awareness or unconscious awareness, subconscious awareness affects 95% of our behaviors. So most of the things we think that we think a lot, we think that we are thinking through things a lot. Most of the things that our conscious brain thinks is only 5% of the things that we actually do and believe in. So it is important to remember that belief really does dictate and control a lot. Since beliefs are stored in our subconscious mind, that's also where our thoughts are, our automatic thoughts are. That's also where our emotions are, which is also another realm. So there's the mind, the mental realm, and then there's the emotional realm, the seat of our emotion, and it's where we react out of. This is how sometimes you can feel like you've done a lot of work, a lot of healing, and then you walk into a place and somebody pisses you off and you have a very real reaction and you're like, where did this come from? It's because it's really rooted in your subconscious and your belief system. If you're interested in subconscious awareness as it relates to a science, you want to really study neuroscience. You really want to study neuroscience, and that relates to neuroplasticity and all of those other things. As a concept for metaphysics, we're just going to call it subconscious. Also, if you want to study belief further, here are some topics that you can discuss. We're not done with class, but here's some topics you can discuss or research further. The law of attraction, that is coming in maybe 2 or 3 classes. We're going to discuss it ourselves. The law of vibration, again, that is something that we're going to discuss. Self-fulfilling prophecy, that's just the idea that you say a thing or think a thing or believe a thing and then it ultimately comes true. Visualization, we also will talk about that in a later class. Reticular activating system, or RAS, or RAS for short. This is the neurological mechanism that decides or deems what's important. Beliefs act as a filter for the RAS system, focusing our attention on the things that we believe. So that means that it's only going to lead you towards the things that you believe, which is why a lot of you felt called here, because you believe that these things are possible. Epigenetics, again, we'll talk about this in deeper, but essentially all that is that these things are buried deep within our DNA. And it shapes our actual biology. This is why we carry weight in certain places and have certain attributes about ourselves. Subconscious programming, which we are going to practice in the way of affirmations, but it could also look like hypnosis and other things like that. Faith and surrender. Faith is the substance of things unseen. So, yeah, I'm going to leave that there. And then gratitude and amplification. That really is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later as it relates to how we raise our frequency and vibration. So kind of going back for 1 second to energy for a second, there are 12 universal laws that regulate and rule energy, because everything is energy. So everything is regulated by energy and vibrations and frequencies. And there's 12 laws that the universe follows. I think I mentioned in the previous class that religion really follows some of those rules. Each religion has a set of rules that they kind of have attached themselves to and follow. They don't always follow all of the rules. And yeah, our belief influences how we actually use these laws. Don't worry, we have a whole class on these things. So I know I keep saying this, but belief really is central to understanding metaphysics. Okay, so great. So Kim, how do we change our belief system? Well, so glad you asked. Last week we reflected on sort of what shapes your thought pattern, and now we're gonna focus on what do you think is holding you back from elevating or sort of moving through life the way you want to. And I want you to ask clarifying questions. I want you to ask, why is this happening, right? Why am I thinking this way? I really, really encourage you to refrain as much as you can from judging yourself. These things have come to you since you were a baby or even potentially before you were born. There's no reason for us to judge ourselves for how we think and feel in this moment. We can just say, hey, who taught you that? Where did that come from, right? And then we'll come up with an answer. So it's important to ask these clarifying questions. This is why y'all need a notebook, so to journal down these answers. I believe X, and the question that I'm asking is, why do I believe X? Where did that come from? Who taught me that? Was it my religion? Was it my parents? Was it the country that I grew up in? How did I get that? Where did that come from? And the next question is, do I still want to keep that? Is that something that feels good for me to keep? It's really important to use your mouth, right? We want to get these things from inside your brain. We're moving them already from the subconscious to the conscious, and we're moving them from the conscious out of us. So if you think of sort of how to expel ideas that are no longer working for you, you have to push them out. And one of the ways that we can push them out is through the holes in our body, through our mouth, right? So as you do this work, as you are writing in your journal, I want you to actually read these things out loud. Sometimes when you read them and you hear them, they will come back to you and be like, that sounds ridiculous. Why did I ever believe that to begin with? I don't know. Well, let's decide that we don't want to hold on to that anymore. So if you don't want to hold on to it, that's okay. The fact that you guys are doing this exercise means that you have begun to create a new pathway. The way that you stop using the old pathway is to consistently use the new one. The old pathway is always going to be there. It's just going to get grown over in this system. Grass is going to grow over it. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's fine that it's there. We're just going to develop and use the new pathway. Remember, consistency is key. The more we walk on this pathway, the better we will get. All right. That is all for today. Actually, a few things. I did find a book. It's called Metaphysics. I forgot that I had this book. It was actually in my office here. And you know what happened? I was talking to a patient. She happened to look up in my bookshelf, which I never look at. And she was like, oh, I'm just looking at your books. I looked over there and this book was right there. This book is intense, okay? So if y'all, it's written by Stephen Lawrence. I'll post a picture of it online for you guys. But if y'all want to read it, great. I mean, I got it for $10 from the used bookstore. It's pretty thick. My book is not that thick. It's going to be a small thing. But if this is something that you guys really want to tap into right now, go for it. Grab it. I will encourage you, don't overwater your plant, right? Just allow yourself to let this stuff grow in you slowly. It is growing. Trust me, it is growing. Next class, we will talk about energy. Oh, my favorite thing. So if metaphysics is the umbrella, is the whole tree, the roots is belief, I would say energy, vibration and frequency is all of this stuff that makes the tree look like a tree. I'll see y'all soon. Remember, if you write it, you read it, you hear it, you say it, you learn it. I love us.